Hey everybody, welcome to the live. It's Saturday morning. Nice to see you. It's beautiful and sunny out here, as you can tell by the window, right next to the guitars. All right. Anyway, welcome to the live. Welcome to the group. Welcome everybody. We're like 5,000 people in this group, which is awesome. Look at this. This is 2,100 new members in the last 60 days. That's crazy. And I still got like 40 people I still have to approve on the thing. I don't even know. Like, it's so overwhelming, and I love it. Anyway, welcome to this week's live. We're going to be covering both homework on how do we cover abandoned carts from your Shopify account, which is very basic for a lot of you people, but also built on a question that a friend of mine asked in direct message, and I was hoping that they would ask in the group, and they didn't. But Amber, we're going to address it live for everybody without getting too much into the details of your question on a way to get everybody to cover on something so easy that everyone should be able to do the homework this week. And we're also going to start covering the CBO, the Cost-Cap CBO system, which is the follow-up to the bucket-based CBO that we spent the first half of the year building. Bucket-based is phenomenal for business intelligence and for pushing volume. But if you need control for overall cost for your CPAs, Cost-Cap CBO is the number one methodology. I've been testing it now. I've been finishing. We just finished a 6-figure case study on this thing, plus some other stuff. So we have a lot to learn there. So we're going to get into some really basic stuff, and we're getting some really advanced fun stuff and start down the road of what the next ebook is coming out with. And it's some really great inside the Slack. I've been sharing slides from the ebook to the Slack channel as I'm writing this so that everybody can QA it and try it out and punch holes in things and do case studies so that by the time this ebook goes live, it's not just me doing something inside of a silo, but it's really now all the community members and the top advertisers and the most tapped in people that we have really trying things out and giving their own pieces. And hopefully I can do quotes and case studies and really start to ramp everything up. You can find all of the ebooks that we've done. I think the previous 8 or 9 are in the Patreon, which is in the link. There should be a link inside the group. There's a link inside your welcome message. I'm posting links to join the Patreon inside of the group every week so that you can not miss all of the great stuff that we have. And if you do the homework, you get into the Patreon for half price. Now, I mentioned the Slack channel. If you do your homework, you can also get into the Slack channel for half price. The Slack channel's got a shit ton of documentation. It's got all the behind the scenes stuff. It's all the works in progress. It's all the talks between people. If I had to make an analogy for it, even though I hate to use the terminology, it's like a mastermind group that you pay way extra money for it so you can hang out with fancy rich people. There's no fancy rich people in there. Just killer fucking marketers trying to help everybody else win. But if you do this homework for this week or any of the weeks, then you can go back and do it. A shout out to my man Noah. Noah went back and started doing homework from July and from June and started getting himself half off everything. He made a point, like I got this text message, or I got this message on Facebook because all I have to do to prove you did the homework is screenshot your Facebook and then send it in. So he did the engaged shoppers test that we had, which was a throwback to a homework that we did, I think, back in February. We redid it again in July. He did that thing. Now he's into the Slack channel for half price. Phenomenal. Love it. And he's asking great fucking questions. I was actually chatting with him like half an hour ago inside the Slack while we were getting ready for this live, and I was eating my omelet with chorizo. Hey, Amber, how you doing? So anyway, that's what we're going to cover in today. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Again, we're blowing up. So this month, starting today, over the next few weeks, we're really going to start to address this CBO, this Cost-Cap CBO system, which is really advanced stuff. So I'm also going to try to make the homework and the sexy tips and tricks that we're covering during the week more basic stuff so we can address everybody's questions. We're also going to go over the poll question for the week, and our sexy tactic that I dropped in this week is more built around the automated rules, which is applicable to everybody from entry level to super high end, folks that are spending $100,000 a week and folks that are spending $100 a week. So hopefully this is going to be a really great live. We're about to jump into it. So let me thank everybody there. So starting off with stuff, and if the entry level stuff is too basic for you, I want you to skip to about 15 minutes. I'm eyeballing my time here. So about 15 minutes in, we'll probably get into the CBO stuff and some of the sexy tips stuff. I think we'll get actually into the automated rules, and then we'll go from there. Also, I know that you guys have been asking phenomenal questions to the group, and I'm trying to get through them all. You'd be stunned at how much like weird porn gets posted to the group that I have to ban people. Probably a dozen folks a day are posting like weird porn shit. Anyway, So I have to go through all of that before I get to your questions, and I've been trying to answer at least one or two of your questions every week or every day that I can get through it. So anyway, with that being said, getting into the abandoned carts. This was a question that came from a friend, and it was very much, hey, I'm running a Shopify store. I see that my Shopify store is telling me that I'm losing like $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 a week on, or a couple $100 a week even, on abandoned carts. How do I convert those people? So there is a ad solution and there is a bot solution. The homework for this week is to set up the ad solution, but I'm also going to tell you about the bot solution just for a little extra credit if you feel like doing it. So, and if you do either one of them, you can send me a screenshot of it and you're in the homework, or you can do both and get credit for two things, which is never a bad thing, right? So what we're going to do today is something that's very rudimentary for a lot of folks, but also very necessary. So, and this is also covered in the first ebook, and I think also the first ebook on the funnel, and then also another ebook that we did on retargeting, which is just a mid-funnel, or sometimes called the bottom of the funnel, MOF or BOF, if you ever see those terms being thrown around the internet. So anyway, the way we're going to do this is, first, what are they telling you? What is Shopify saying? What they're saying is, so this is the amount of money that people have added items to cart, but not actually purchased. So it means that people have shown intent to buy, but for whatever reason they didn't. More often than not, the reason people don't buy something, it has to do more with timing than the actual offer. Most people don't go through the effort of adding to cart if price or if quality or if quantity or if the whatever is not good enough for them. Those people tend to they shop around and they don't actually make the purchase intent. By the time somebody is added to cart, you can more or less treat this person as somebody willing to pay the price that you've marked at the with all the offer and everything else that you've got set up. But for whatever reason, there's an objection. Most of the time, it's timing. Like maybe they just got tired and they didn't want to buy it, or they wanted to wait till the weekend, or they didn't have the money in their account, or they were doing it inside of a meeting and their boss asked them a question, they put the phone away. I've been guilty of that, shopping for shirts like this one from Buy Me Brunch. Love this shirt, by the way. Great t-shirt company. For all of you that know that I'm a big fan of t-shirts. So anyway, they're telling you that this is all the money that has been left on the table. So how do we go after getting those people so that you can get additional sales? The way we do this inside of Facebook is, especially if we have a Shopify store, is we use the Facebook pixel action called add to cart. And so if you want to make an audience to specifically target these people, that's what we're going to do. The majority of the people are doing what we call prospecting. So you're going after broad audiences where it's just gender or age or interest groups or behaviors. You know, like maybe it's moms, or it's people interested in fitness or jewelry, or women over the age of 35, or men under the age of 30, or, you know, men and women 18 to whatever it happens to be, over the age of 55, whatever it is. Using very broad things, audiences of tens, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people. What we want to do is create a retargeting audience. Hi, Amber. So we want to make a retargeting audience. Now, this is also often used for retargeting campaigns. Much bigger pieces. We don't even need to get there. If you're at the point where this is groundbreaking for you, don't worry. It's not going to be too complex. So what we need to do is go into Facebook, into the audiences section. It's up in the upper right-hand corner inside of your ads manager. Up here, there's like a little, when you're in your business manager, there's like a little 3-line button. They call it the hamburger button. You click on that thing, and then there's an audiences section. You go into the audiences, and you can create a new audience. And inside the create a new audience, I think in the first, hi, Jeff. Inside the audience section, the first option is making an audience built around the people on your website. So you can go from there and you can create audiences built around the actions that people take on your website. The default setting is anybody that's been to your site, but you can click in there and you can see there's like a green circle and then a bunch of names, a bunch of things. And what you can do there is you can click the people that have added to cart. And I'll drop a link in too for the Facebook blueprint that takes you through like a 5-minute course on how to build these audiences so that you can get way into it. But I'm just telling you about the application. So you can go in there, you're gonna hit add to cart. So this is going to create a custom audience inside of people that have abandoned items in their cart on your Shopify store, right? So this is very easy. What you're doing is you're saying, out of everybody in the world, I want just those people that Shopify has told you have left $1,000 or $100 or $100,000 inside of their cart this week and that they haven't purchased from you. So it's taking all of those people and it's going to make an audience for just those people for you. Now, it'll also say how long, a matter of time. I tend to find that the best way when you're starting, especially on smaller stores, is maybe go a 7-day, a 30-day, and then a 180-day audience. So you can create 3 audiences there based on different times, and you can run them all at once. And the reason you want to do that is because the 7 days is probably going to be very small. You probably won't be able to spend a lot of money. You might make incredible profit margin when you do sell somebody, but it's going to take a long while because you might only be able to spend $3 or $5 a day, and maybe you make a sale for $50, but once a week, that's good money because you 10x your profit once every 7 days. That's cash positive, but it's not very scalable. If you go out to a 30-day audience, that audience, the person is seeing your ad for 30 days, which means they're much more likely to purchase, but you're going to be able to spend more money on them, but it's going to cost you more money to convert them. So it's going to be less profitable, but more spend. So you're going to be able to scale into your spend so you can spend more against a profit-generating audience. The 180-day, so you're spending against that person for 6 months, is the least efficient way of doing it, but the most likely to create a sale. So this is a great audience to target. What we want to ultimately do is focus in on these people so that you've got the 6 month, the 1 month, and the 1 week, and then you can start to maybe turn off something that's not working or ramp up something that is working, or maybe 7 days just isn't enough, so you can bump it out to 14 days, and maybe that's your sweet spot. Maybe 30 days is great and you just don't run the 7 at all. Maybe 180 days is working for you, so you can turn off the other 2. It gives you options, right? We never want to have just orange. We want like yellow and red so that we can turn up and down. You want multiple levers so that you can always optimize. Otherwise, it's just, did this work? It's a tool that, and I quote this all the time, and I think Jeff has heard this, and many of you have heard this too. When I was a touring musician, which I still am, but one of the reasons that I always came away from gigs with money was that I said, hey, I never said, do you want to buy a t-shirt, right? It's which t-shirt do you want to buy? You're changing the conversation so that somebody makes a choice where you're assuming the positive right away. And in that way, with this add to cart, it's not, well, 7 days didn't work, so it's not going to work for me. It's 7 days didn't work very well. 30 days was phenomenal. 180 was too much. There's a bell curve in there, and you're trying to find the right period of time that works for you. So this is going to be really easy. Your homework for this week, very simply, make an add to cart 30-day audience. Just make one and screenshot that you made it. That's all you have to do. And I'll let you into the Slack or the Patreon or the one-on-ones or the ebooks, any of that stuff. Hi, Ibrahim. Nice to see you again. Do that. And that's getting the homework done. Now, if you want to apply it, you create a campaign, you make an ad set, you make the ad set just that add to cart 30, maybe also the add to cart 7 and the 180, and you set that to a really low budget, something you can afford, maybe $10 a day, maybe $50 a day, whatever it is for you. I tend to find that about 30 to 50% of your overall budget, if you can spend $100 a day, maybe spend 70 in prospecting and 30 in retargeting, you probably won't be able to spend that 30, but if you can make sure that you're spending every dollar that you can every day in that retargeting, and then your main focus of prospecting is to feed people into your retargeting pool, because your retargeting pool is going to generate your profit. If you can break even on prospecting at the top of the funnel, and you're just basically getting a bunch of traffic that your retargeting can convert for 2 or 3x or 5x or some great number, then all you're doing is you're spending money up here to drive more volume to the thing that's really generating profit. You don't need to generate a lot of money in the prospecting campaign. Prospecting gets you volume. Retargeting gets you profit. All right, so your homework for the week, make an add to cart 30-day audience. Screenshot it to me, screenshot it, send that to me just to say that you've done it. Hi, Josh. Josh, I didn't get back to you, man. I'm really sorry about that. I was sick this week for a couple of days, and I had 2 gigs last week. I got 2 gigs this week and a gig tonight. I've been playing a lot of rock and roll. I haven't forgotten about you. Let's get it done, my man. I really, Josh and I have known each other for a couple of years. And he's got a great project around the walled garden, and I'm really excited about making that thing happen for you, Josh. So let's chat about that offline. I promise. I haven't forgotten about you. I couldn't even go into the office for, oh no, Facebook closed both business managers. Okay, we can get around that. I tell you, we got a walled garden, we got an approach. Facebook is never going to be ahead of what we're doing. I guarantee you we're going to get around it. Let's get it done. All right? Hey, look at that. I was making the thing and then you just commented with it. I love it. Anyway, that being said, let's get into, yes, we'll talk. Let's do it. I want to get into, first, we're going to get into the poll. Every week, I've been dropping a poll question into the Facebook group to get a feel of where people are at with different things. So, and also to cover some of it with some of your perspectives. So, I asked this week, do you test creative before using it in mature campaigns? Now, we have 4 answers to say yes. We had 4 votes that said they built campaigns around winning creative, and 1 person said no. So this was actually very, Ibrahim says Facebook closed ad account randomly. We'll get to that stuff. Hey, look, it's something that's been happening to a lot of people. So we'll get around it. My man Steven, I've been helping him out. I guarantee you, like, we can get it done. We're gonna get around it. Facebook will not catch up to what we're doing, and it's all good. Don't worry about it. We'll cover that stuff maybe in a more direct thing, or maybe that's like a one-on-one that we can do to really handle it for you, or join the Slack. And honestly, the Slack, if you do your homework and you join the Slack, it's cheaper than a one-on-one. So I just recommend you do that. That's a much better bang for your buck. But I mean, hey, if you want to do a one-on-one, let's do that. So anyway, the point here was testing creative before using it in mature campaigns. So what we're talking about here is doing creative testing. Most of you guys know, the guys who've been around here for a long time know that creative testing is really a big piece because you need new creative. Every ad that you have is a different sales pitch. So the way that Facebook works is every ad is a sales pitch. The learnings inside of Facebook, when Facebook says it has learnings, it's learning how each ad runs. It's learning how each ad works, how every sales pitch works. It's learning who the right people are for each sales pitch. Then what happens is you have ad sets. Ad sets have multiple ads inside of them, and it's essentially a salesman saying, okay, I know that there are 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people inside of my ad set, and here are my 2 or 3 sales pitches, my ads, and then I can try to find the right person for each sales pitch. If you have more sales pitches, then you have a higher likelihood of getting somebody to make a purchase, because Facebook is going to say, okay, I'm a salesman, I've got 1 sales pitch. It means I need to find the person that's going to respond best to this 1 sales pitch. It's going to work, but you're going to hit a ceiling pretty soon. If you've got 3, that means you can now talk to more people, and you can do it more efficiently, because maybe 1 sales pitch will work, but maybe another one will work a little bit better, right? So then you can say, okay, well, this sales pitch converts somebody at $80. This sales pitch converts somebody at like $60, right? So you can understand how different sales pitches convert people for different amounts of money, because one is better for that person than something else. And generally, the best sales pitches tend to be either different tweaks of the same idea or very different ideas. So the ad set understands, as your salesman, understanding how to use the sales pitches inside of the ad set. The campaign is kind of like your sales manager that has multiple salesmen. So your campaign says, I've got these ad sets. Each ad set has a sales pitch. So this ad set's going after women over the age of 35, and this ad set's going after moms, and this ad set's going after college kids, and this ad set's going after Girl Scouts, whatever, right? So Each ad set, being a salesperson, is controlled by the campaign, and the way CBO is being used inside of Facebook right now is that it's letting the sales manager decide where the resources are getting used by each salesman, and then each salesman understands which sales pitch to use on the prospective clients or prospective customers that it sees inside of the ecosystem. So it's very much just like a regular business. I like to think of it as a car dealership, right? So the sales managers, the guys that's running the car dealership, the chick in charge, and then based on the people when they come in, or which car dealership or whatever they're working on, that's each ad set, and then that person inside that ad set is like a salesman or sales lady, and they look at you and they say, okay, maybe this is the right sales pitch, or this is the right sales pitch, or this is the right sales pitch, to find what's the best way of making that person leave in a new car today. What can we do to put you in this nice new car? That's basically what it is. So the ad learnings happen at the ad level. They ramp up to the ad set, which is trained on how to use all the sales pitches. And then the campaign understands which ad set does the best job with the money that you give it. That's the way the campaign works. So how does this go back to our question of, do you test creative before using it in mature campaigns? What we're saying here is, before you give a sales pitch to all of your customers, to all of your salesmen, you want to see first, and I'm telling you, first off, you do want to see first how that sales pitch works. Is it effective or is it not effective? Who does it work for and who does it not work for? And the reason you want to do this is because it generally doesn't help to have a sales pitch that converts the same type of person as another sales pitch. If your ads are basically the same ad, then there's really no benefit to having both of them. What you're doing is you're essentially splitting your spend between the two, which means they don't get as smart as fast, and there's really no real big difference. However, slight tweaks that can mean a big thing. For instance, maybe one ad has a picture of a man in it and one ad has a picture of a woman in it. Now that might be fundamentally different, because people, when they look at advertising, they like to think of themselves as the person making the purchase. If it's a picture of a woman in the ad, me as a man, less likely to click on it. If it's a picture of like an old gentleman in the picture, in the ad, and you're showing it to like a college girl, she's probably not going to buy. Everything else can be the exact same, but a 25-year-old woman is less likely to click on an ad of a 75-year-old man than an old man is, right? So these are slight tweaks where everything else inside the creative could be the exact same, but that's a slight change enough where you're appealing to a different person, which is going to help us later in the concept, in the CBO campaign architecture that we're talking about. Now, the reason you test these creatives is because you want to make sure that your mature campaigns are campaigns that have only your best ads in them, because the mature campaigns are the ones you're going to be spending the most money. Generally, the way a really healthy campaign architecture for an account is set up is you have a creative testing campaign, which is always testing creative, always trying to find new great sales pitches. And then you have other campaigns you're spending the majority of your money trying to convert more people, right? Trying to get more sales. So if you have $100 a day, maybe $20 a day is spent in retargeting, $10 a day is spent inside of creative testing, and the other 70 is taking the best ads and trying to find new people to bring into the ecosystem. So that's what we mean by mature campaigns. So you should be testing your creative, taking the best performing creative, putting it into where you're spending the majority of your money, which is both prospecting and retargeting. Use the same ad in both, which we talked about before for other reasons. And that's how you have the best results. Now, the reason you use the same ad in prospecting and retargeting is because most people, when they come to retargeting, especially if it's an add to cart that you're retargeting, the reason they didn't buy isn't because of the offer. It's because of timing or because of other reasons. You want to give them the chance right away to buy the thing that they were interested in. So often I see people that are shooting themselves in the foot because they're offering a discount in retargeting, or they're offering free shipping, which makes sense, but let me walk you through it. Say I get an ad on a Thursday night and I get paid on Friday. I get an ad on Thursday night, and I'm really stoked on this shirt, right? Say I get this shirt, and I want it. By the way, I do want it, and I bought it. Poshmark or whatever, by the way, used $15. Don't gotta pay $30. That's a waste of money. And buy coffee instead. Anyway, I like the shirt. I see the ad on Thursday. I'm like, that's dope. I check it out. I add the cart, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have the money to pay for it. If you show me an ad on Friday that says, hey, you didn't like the shirt, let me give it to you for 50% off. I'm like, great. It was $30. Now it's 15. I'll buy it tomorrow. And then you show me an ad on the second day, on Saturday, that's like, okay, well, you didn't buy, so let me give you 50% off and free shipping. Now, maybe it costs you $10 to ship the product, right? Between packaging and shipping costs and whatever else. Maybe it's $10 for fulfillment plus the man hours of whoever's got to do the thing, right? So maybe it costs you $10 to ship the product. Plus there's the cost of the product. Let's say it costs them $5 to make this shirt. It costs them $5 to make the shirt, $10 to sell the product. So they're selling it for $30, so they get a 2x markup on their retail for clothing, industry standard. By the time on day 2, that was Thursday, they sent me the ad. When they're retargeting me on Saturday with that ad, and they're giving it to me for 50% off with free shipping, they've effectively paid $15 to sell me the product for $15 that I would have paid $30 for. They basically broke even, and then you have to add on the cost of running the ads. Maybe it took them $10 in ad spend to convert me. They effectively paid $25 to sell me a product for $25. They lost $10 on that sale. That's a terrible way of fucking running a business. Now, the other reason they use the same ad in prospecting and retargeting is the estimated action rate, which is Facebook takes into account how much it thinks people are likely to take an action on your ad. If that ad has a higher likelihood of actions, then you pay a lower price because Facebook sees that as something that people want to see in their feed more than something else. So if you show an ad and add to cart where somebody's likely to click on it or likely to convert on it, that ad is going to have a lower bid even in prospecting, because remember, the learnings happen at the ad level. That ad can live in multiple places. So instead of just going out to 100, going out to 1 million strangers, if it's 1 million strangers plus 100 people who are really likely to buy, now when it goes out to 1 million strangers, that ad knows, well, this is the sales pitch that's likely to work because I'm going after really hot leads, and Facebook sees it as an ad that people are really likely to click on. So your click-through rate and your conversion rate at a very high quality retargeting pool makes your prospecting far, far more efficient. So you need to be running the same creative at prospecting and retargeting, and you want to be testing your creative and using before you use it in mature campaigns. Now, the last piece here is I asked people, do they do this? And one of the options was building campaigns around winning creative, which is a phenomenal way of doing stuff. That's what we call the bucket-based CBO system. And there's a whole ebook built on it. Hi, Lloyd. Hi, Austin. There's a whole ebook, and we did, I think, a whole month or 2 months on building that system, plus the whole first half of the year where we shopped it and we did case studies. And I think we spent upwards of 6 figures trying to map that out. I think it ended up becoming like a 7-figure test between all the advertisers. But it's now considered a best practice from Facebook. And we did a giant shootout with Facebook, and we beat them hands down every time. And it was like a big thing. We were super excited about it with the disruptor reps and everything else. So bucket-based CBO, take a look at it. It basically means that you test creative, and if the creative works, then you apply it to different audiences, and you take your testing campaign and you make it your mature campaign. You mature up. If you throw something out into the world and it works, rally behind the winner. And so that's that option. Both are good answers. What we're going to start covering today and moving forward is the other way of doing things. Bucket-based CBO, building campaigns around winning creative, is the best way of making sure that you have wins and ramping up your spend so that you spend the most amount of money. which is what a lot of advertisers want to do. They want the highest amount of volume. But there are plenty of advertisers who are more concerned with saying, well, I only have $1,000 I can spend this month. I need that $1,000 to go as far as possible. There might be inventory concerns, might be monetary concerns, might be a small business versus somebody that's got venture backing, right? It might be a millionaire running the company. It might be somebody doing this out of their garage as a part-time job so they can hopefully quit their job and then help other people, like Court did. Court's a great fucking success story. He's in the group. Really great Shopify dev, by the way, too. If you need any Shopify dev, Court McCullum, he's in the group. He's phenomenal. I remember when that guy had a day job, an hourly wage that he hated, and now he's a digital advertiser doing extraordinarily well for himself, and it took him like a year. So great success story. I mean, there's a bunch of them in here. He's a buddy of mine, and I know him personally. I met him out beside the back of this Mexican restaurant called Tequila, like a year and a half ago. Anyway, great dude. But that's the kind of thing. So with those people, that's what we're going to get to, this other thing called Cost-Cap CBO, which is the next best system, and it controls for cost, not delivery. And most of the time, we're going to need a balance between the two. And the Cost-Cap CBO system is what we're talking about a lot inside the Slack channel right now. I've been posting in the Slack channel the table of contents, and then I'm asking all the people in the Slack, like Raba and Skylar and Noah and everybody are in there. Lynn, we miss you. We're all just chatting about like, okay, this is the right thing to do. Great, this is the next thing we want to cover. So they're asking me, like, I gave them a table of contents, and then I asked them, like, hey, tell me the next thing to document and to work with you guys on. And we're knocking it out step by step, and everything's being tested by a good group of great advertisers that are punching holes in things. And so by the time that you all get it, if you're not in the Slack yet, by the time you all get it because you're on the Patreon, it's gonna be fucking solid. And we're defining a best practice that will then run up against Facebook's team, and then push through to the reps, and then it'll be the next thing. Hopefully by Q1, this will be defined as a best practice that replaces or is one in line with bucket-based CBO. So you have your high spend and then your cost control. And that's where you can pull both levers. Remember, we were talking before, just like in the retargeting audiences, you need options. Here, your options are, I want a lot of spend, or I want the best cost control that I can. And a lot of times when you cost control, you have a spend issue. So you run both of them side by side, and you make sure that you have enough volume to keep your business in check. Anyway, so we're about to cover some stuff, but Austin has a question. He says, haven't heard anyone talk about this idea before, wondering if it's any good. Since the learning phase is so important, can we hack the learning phase by making the budget big enough to get at least 50 conversions the first week, and then reduce the budget way down after that to still get those same good, stable results without being required of spending that much per day? Would this trick not work? Austin, that trick absolutely works. I would 100% agree with it. So what Austin's saying is the learning phase, when you launch an ad set, it launches in something they call the learning phase, where it says 50 conversions, but you can get it for less. It needs a statistically significant amount of data to understand who the salesperson needs training, who the right people are inside of that audience using the ads that you have, so that it can deliver consistent results. That's the idea, right? So it needs to build a data set so that the machine learning can go out and be your salesman for you. So what Austin is saying, what if, instead of waiting a long time, if I throw a lot of money at it right away so that it can learn really quickly, and then I will pull my money back, and then I can rely on it to be stable. It's an absolute great hack. I've done that myself. And a lot of times you'll see advertisers that are willing, especially people with deeper pockets, who are willing to lose money right away, knowing that in a week that thing is going to mature to a place where they can really rely on it. I love the idea. If you can afford it, it's phenomenal. And especially if you have really, really good retargeting in place, you can pull back from some prospecting and just front load everything into this new ad set to get it into the testing phase, so that and out of the learning phase, so that it understands. So anyway, Austin's got a question here at like 34 minutes. Check it out. Absolutely will work. I'm gonna go ahead and like it Great thinking, great execution. The implementation of it, if it works for your business model and you've got the funds to do it, I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. Okay, great. I wanted to cover the sexy tactic, and then we're going to get into the CBO stuff. So the sexy tactic for this week was something that I've been doing a lot more of lately, and is a vital part of the Cost-Cap CBO system, is automated rules for Facebook. Now, we've covered this a few times, and it's in some of the ebooks. I think there's actually a whole ebook around automation. I got to take a look. I forget. But automated stop loss rules for ads. So automated rules can help you do work. Like Facebook can do all this stuff. So it'll do work even when you're not. When you're asleep, Facebook's doing thinking for you. Automated rules are kind of like, I like to think of them as guardrails for Facebook. So you can understand, like, all right, I'm going to let you do anything, but if you fuck up, I'm going to pull back, right? Or I'm going to do things for it. I'm going to adjust things. And it allows you to basically be an absentee landlord in the situation, but running the campaign without having to do any work. Because the primary job of being a Facebook advertiser is to not be in Facebook. It's to be thinking about architecture. It's to be thinking about business objectives. It's to be enjoying your life. If you are in Facebook for hours a day, then you are not working effectively enough on using the tools inside of Facebook. So one of the number one tools of reducing your workload is automated rules. So I said in here was a very simple 3-step rule for stop loss at the creative level, at the ad level. So rule number 1 is if any ad spends 2x your target CPA with no sales, I gotta modify this. I did not write that part on there. Let's see. If any ad spends 2x your target CPA with no conversions, there we go. Now that makes way more sense. Oh, thank you, guys. Then turn off the ad. And it's simple. You can go into the automated rules. You can create a new rule, or you can, even when you highlight a campaign, you can say manage rules, and you can create a new rule, or you can apply any campaign to an existing rule. The point here is, what you want to do is say, hey, Facebook, say my goal is to make a sale for $50 or $30, or let's say it's $30, okay? So if Facebook spends, you want a target cost of $30. If Facebook spends $60 on that ad that day and doesn't make a sale yet, turn that ad off. And the reason you want to do this is because for whatever reason, that is the wrong ad for this day, or Facebook's putting way too many resources there. Who knows why? And it's probably a good ad, maybe not, who knows? But for whatever reason, that ad is a liability for you today. And tomorrow might be a very different story. But say inside of an ad set, you have 3 ads, and you want that ad set to spend, let's say $200 today, okay? If one of those ads spends $60 and your target goal is $30 and it doesn't get a single sale, turn that ad off. It's not working for you today. Spend your resources somewhere else. This will prevent you from maybe spending $100 today and that ad not making a single sale. For whatever reason, it's a loser today. And you have to understand that results are very much day by day. And you want to look at the trends over a course of a week or 2 weeks to really define what's really winning, because every day is so different. So anyway, rule number 1 is turn that ad off. If I spend twice my target CPA and I don't get a sale today, which is very simple, it's in there. And when I make the ebook for this stuff, this is a part of the ebook too for the CCCBO, I'm going to have screenshots of how I've set these automated rules up, and I'll also link in the description for this. I owe you guys a Facebook blueprint for how to make add to cart ad and how to set up automated rules. It's really simple. You can Google it. There's 1,000 people telling you how to do this stuff, but it's a really, really simple rule to set up. I use it on every ad, and it helps me. So if I'm having a bad day, it stops me from having a bad day really quick. And this comes from stock market trading. all these automated rules, the way that I look at automated rules is very much the way that people run stock markets. Bankers are really good at making money. They're really good at investment. They're really good at allocation of resources. Let's steal their good ideas and run them as advertisers because we want to make money, because we want to be a good investment. And they've already done all the hard work. So we're just going to steal all their hard work and apply it to ours so we can make money without having to do too much work. That's the goal. Don't work too hard. So that's rule number one. Rule number two says that if any paused ads CPA drops below the target CPA, turn the ad on. So what we're basically doing is saying that if you have spent, say it's your goal is $30 and you've spent like $60, and by the way, Facebook will check this every half hour by default. So say, by noon you spend $65, no sales. It turns the ad off. The next rule says if any paused ad CPA drops below the target CPA, turn it on. Now maybe what happened here is in the morning you showed some ads, and for whatever reason people didn't buy until lunch. Okay, so you spent maybe $65 by 11, 12, no sales. And then by 2 o'clock, you've made 3 sales. So that's $60 that you spent, $65 you spent. Now it's giving you like a $20 CPA. Turn that ad back on, because now that ad has shown itself to have value to you. And you didn't waste more impressions because spending money in that period of time where you already put in work, but you didn't reap the rewards of it. It was wasted resources for you. So now that ad has made money, you can spend that profit margin trying to find new people with that ad. Plus, that'll force Facebook to try to spend that money on other ads so that it doesn't just favor one ad all day long or all the time. You don't really want it to do that. You want it to balance out. The Facebook system, however, will try to find the ads. CBO will try to find the ads that generate the most amount of actions. Now, actions doesn't necessarily mean purchases. Actions could be clicks or watching your video or likes, comments, shares, whatever. What you want it to do is you want to train Facebook to say, I want you to ultimately drive spend to the ads that are going to drive the most profitable conversions. So you have to, kind of like a dog, you have to train the system because it's really smart, but it needs to know what's important to you. So what's important to you is that an ad converts at your target CPA. So once that ad converts again, turn it back on. Facebook sees, oh, this person turned this ad back on, let me spend there. Facebook will understand that when you turn something on, you want that to have preference. So it'll try to spend there. When something is new, it gets preference over something that's old. So basically what you're doing is you're giving Facebook options, and if it fails at any option, you pull it away, and if that option begins to win again, you reintroduce it, and Facebook sees that. So you're pulling away losers so that Facebook has to spend everywhere that you can. This ultimately ends up giving you a more balanced delivery between all of your ads so that over weeks and months, when Facebook is learning who your customer is and training your pixel to understand who is the best person to show your ads to, it's not overly favoring something because maybe that ad had a really good weekend, but Monday and Tuesday is shit. You don't waste the money on Monday and Tuesday because you're just pulling back the spend if it doesn't win, and you're letting it learn from other places. Facebook learns just as much or more from failures and bad impressions than it does from good impressions. But if it spends bad money, you can stop it from spending too much bad money. So the third part of this rule is turn all of your ads back on at midnight. So if an ad gets turned off at midnight, a new day, start it over again. So, so Austin asked a great question. Regarding what you just said, how can a paused ad's CPA drop down? How can it still be getting results even if it isn't live? So the way that, and this goes to attribution, the way that Facebook works in any platform, but remember, we're going for a one-day post click here, or it doesn't really matter, but say I serve you an ad and you click on it. Facebook's going to charge me because you clicked, or because it served it to you. And then I might click on that ad in the morning over breakfast, but I might not buy until the evening, or the next day, right? Like I said, maybe you serve me an ad on a Thursday night and I'm in bed and I just don't care, and I wake up in the morning over breakfast and I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted that t-shirt. Okay. Let's use another example. Say you serve it to me in the morning and I buy it at night. That ad will get the conversion because it takes a while for Facebook to see that conversion happened. And it also, very few people buy within like 30 seconds of clicking on an ad. Think about yourself when you're seeing a store. It's like you click on the ad, you go to the store. Very rarely do you buy right away. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's that thing. I want to go back. Let me go back to the site and buy the thing. Maybe you saved it in your browser. You got it open in a window. Something happens, right? Or you added to cart and saw another ad that made you buy. So Facebook is waiting to see the actions you take during the day. Because you take actions during the day, that ads target that ad, the cost of your, by CPA we mean cost per acquisition, that ad that maybe got shown to 100 people, by noon 0 people bought, but by 5 p.m. 100 of the people that clicked, maybe 3 or 4 of them bought. Now it goes from 0 sales for $100 to every sale costs you $25 a piece, and your target was $30, so you're making money. So there's latency in what we call latency inside the attribution, because the conversion window isn't always immediate. It's actually rarely immediate. So yeah, so hopefully that helps. It's a bit of a complicated system, but just to kind of understand how that works. Again, we're going entry-level stuff, mid-level stuff, and then some super baller shit. 3 things to keep in mind when applying these ads. Number 1 is every ad that you apply this rule to should be okay to go live at any time. You don't want to say, well, I've got an ad set with 10 ads and I really only want 4 of them, but I'm going to apply this rule to that ad. It's going to turn all the ads on at midnight. So if you don't want an ad to go live in the system, delete that ad from the ad set. Because you need to make sure that everything that this applies to, that it can apply, that the rule can be applied to every ad inside of the ecosystem that you're applying it to. Number 2, every ad that this is applied to should be running the same offer. And this is really important because remember, maybe your target goal is $30 for one offer, but $35 for something else. If you're setting that ad up, you can't say 2x CPA. You have to type in like $60. So if your target costs are different, then your rules have to be different. So make sure that you segment them out by offer, by landing page, whatever it is. But that way, you know, it's really segmented out by price point, by your target price point for each sale. Maybe it's $20 for one thing and $50 for one thing. If you set it to $45, it's not going to work. So you definitely have to keep that in mind. And then the last thing is, remember that it will take 3 to 10 days for the ad set to be trained by the automation. When you start pulling ads that don't work, Facebook will still favor that ad, but after several days, it'll stop spending towards the ads that keep getting turned off because it's seeing good data from other ads. And the amount of time that it takes is really dependent on your budget. This goes back to the learning phase. How many conversions can you get? Say your goal is $30. If you're spending $500 a day, it's going to take only 3-4 days for Facebook to understand. If you're spending $100 a day, it might take a week or 2 for Facebook to learn because it has to reach what's called a statistically significant amount of data, right? Which just means it needs to make a certain number of mistakes and get a certain number of wins. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 100, whatever it is. But if you're spending less money, it's going to take you longer to get there. That's just the way it is. And there's no real way around that. So, but hopefully that's helpful. And we had some good comments in here. And we addressed those, but a lot of them were just like, oh my God, that's great. And Raba inside the Slack was like, set it and forget it, which is very true. This is a great way of training your campaigns so that you're not thinking about managing all of this stuff. You don't want to be the manager of ads. You want to be the manager of an ad account. So you need to be thinking at the account level and relying on automation and bidding and campaign structure to do all of the hard work for you. Because we don't want to work hard. You think hard, execute smart, and then enjoy life. That's the goal. So last thing before we get out of here is the big bucket item for the day is CBO, creative testing strategy. So this is from a slide that I dropped into the Slack room and we've been chatting about for a while. And so I really wanted to get to it right away. So we were talking earlier about your creative and do you test your creative before using it mature campaigns? And we talked about building creative or building campaigns around winning creative was the heart and soul of the bucket-based CBO system and is absolutely a best practice that we've defined that was better than what Facebook did. Now they've adopted it and I'm starting to see some people teach it and they're not calling it bucket-based CBO, which is funny. I can't wait for certain people out there who will go nameless, mainly Cat Howell and Tim Bird and Nick Shackelford or whatever, to start teaching it and charging hundreds of dollars to walk people through something that, you know, we've talked about here, because it would be like the 10th time that they've done that. Which is fine. You know, that's their business model and God bless them for it, but we're going to undermine them as much as fucking possible. And remember, some of the homework from July and August was just to take any of our tips and go into any of their groups and post them. So you can just undermine those gurus at any time and you get half off of anything. So very much a big fan of undermining the gurus and basically making the get rich quick people look stupid. That's a big goal of mine, which is why they've banned me from almost everything that they do. Anyway, the CBO, the cost cap, campaign budget optimization, creative testing strategy. Let's get into that right now. So this is going to be a bit hefty, but we're going to try to get through it pretty quick because we're going to cover it in the ebooks later, and I expect a lot of questions this week, and I'll try to start dropping little pieces of it as we get closer with more testing. But a sneak peek of the next ebook, which is going to be around this thing. I'm already like 5 or 6 slides into it. So number 1 of the CBO creative testing strategy is number 1 is have 1 creative testing campaign per offer, which means if you've got, you don't want to test each style, each concept in different campaigns. You want one place where you can say, this is how much I want to spend on testing today. Say it's $100 or $1,000. You put that at the campaign level, right? Hi, George. And then that's at the campaign level. And then below that, inside the campaign, every ad in there should be focusing on the same offer. And that's really important because Facebook is going to look at the cost per conversion and the value of each conversion, what's called the AOV, the average order value. So you will want to make sure that basically everything inside of that campaign is basically the same. You don't want to be selling Corvettes next to don't sell Cadillacs next to like a Geo Metro, right? Like you have a dealership for Geo Metros and you have a dealership for like Rolls Royces, right? So different price points, different offers, different campaigns. So say we've got a campaign that we're going to sell, Nissans. I don't know why I picked Nissan, maybe because I used to run them, whatever. I used to run all their advertising. Anyway, so we have Nissan, right? So we're selling one offer. Let's call it the $50 offer for easy math here. Say it's a $50 offer. So all of the ads that we're going to create inside of this campaign are for a $50 offer. Next part of this is organize each ad set within creative testing campaign by creative concept. We've talked about this before, but we'll go over it again. Say it's dog food, right? So one creative concept might be videos of the dog chewing, really enjoying the dog food and talking about how much the dogs love it. Another one might be talking about the features and the benefits of the dog food, how it's great for their coat, and all this other stuff. And there might be another concept built around like the price of the dog food, basically saying, well, this is the really cheap thing. These are all different sales pitches, right? So they're different creative concepts. Now, for any one of those, we should have mixed media for it. So there's like a still image, and there's videos, and there's stories, right? So there's different types of ads. And you can go back and search through the announcement section here, or go to the Patreon and search all of our live feeds from when we started, and find out about the how to turn one video asset into like 30 ads. And it's really fucking easy. Even I can do it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not aesthetically gifted, clearly. So I would say have at least 3, but no more than 10 ads per concept inside of your ad set. So that you don't want to have this ad set have too many choices. So say, for the dog food, about taste, or about the dog loving it. Maybe there's like a video of the dog loving the thing, and then there's another video with like a bunch of text overlay, and then maybe there's like a still image. Maybe a B-roll from the shoot of the dog eating the thing, or just a picture of a happy dog next to the dog food. Or maybe just a picture of the dog food. So that's like 4 ads right there, right? And then maybe you try it with 2 different sets of copies. So that's 8 ads. Boom. Really simple, 8 ads. Knocked out really fast. Also, each ad set should only focus on one landing page. Going back to the offer, we don't want to try. So say your offer exists on several different landing pages. This isn't the place to test a landing page. You want it to all go to the same URL, right? So all 4 pieces of creative with both sets of copy, so 8 ads, are all going to the same landing page, morrisondogfood.buy.com or whatever, right? It's a terrible website URL. That's probably good for SEO, but so this way, what we have is one campaign that's focusing on selling one product, $50 bag of dog food, and each ad set is a different selling point with a few different versions of creative for that selling point. One's a picture of the dog, one's a picture of the bag, one's a video of the dog eating the food next to the bag, right? And then it's copy. So it's very organized, right? Landing page offers the campaign, and then below that, it's the different sales pitches that you're running. Each sales pitch is several different versions. Now comes in where we're using more of the cost cap functionality. Let's set the bid in the cost cap to 10% over our target CPA. If you don't get any delivery, you can raise that bid. And I generally try to set an ad set minimum spend to at least 3 times my target CPA. So if you can afford it. Now, some people don't have the budget to do that, and that's okay. But say it's a $50 bag, I want my ad set minimum in my CBO to be at least $150, which means if I'm testing 2 types of concepts, my minimum budgets would be $150 a piece, which means I need to set my budget to at least $300 for testing a day. And maybe because you want to really give yourself some headroom, and if you followed some of our best practices for CBO, you know that you really should have it at least 20% more than that. So maybe I'll set my budget, my campaign budget, to $350, $360, with the minimum of $150 on each ad set. This is a lot of money, but with cost cap too, you're not going to necessarily spend every penny, but you need to give it the room to be able to do that. And if you can spend that money that way and you break even, that's really good for you, because the rest of it's going into retargeting. Retargeting is where you generate your profit. Prospecting is for volume. Retargeting is for profit, right? So one of the things that I get into here very often is people complaining, and this is something that was going on in the Slack channel this morning. It's a very reasonable concern, is that when they run cost cap campaigns, they don't get any delivery. They get great cost, but no delivery. Maybe they want to spend $500, but they only spend like 60. There's 2 ways around that. One is to raise the bids. The other is to raise the budgets. By telling Facebook, oh, I don't want to spend $300 today, I want to spend $1,000 today, it'll spend more money faster, because it's also trying to pace your spend throughout the day. So it's knowing that you still want to spend more money. It'll be more aggressive and the people that it's trying to spend money on. In addition to that, you can set up an automated rule that basically says, hey, if you spend $500 today or $300 today, turn it off. So that you can tell Facebook on the budget side, oh, I want you to spend $10,000 today. But in the automated rules side, say, hey, once you pass $300, turn it off because I can only afford $300. But it's a way of hacking the cost cap system to increase your delivery. And that's something that I've done on and off for a while, and it works really well. The automated rules doesn't talk to the ecosystem of the bid. So it's two separate things. So your automated rules doesn't affect the bid algorithm of the auction. So you can set constraints here that don't affect your campaign delivery and performance here. So anyway, that's a nice way around it. The other facet of cost cap, and one of the reasons that people don't see a lot of delivery, is if you have the same ad going to the same audience, and one campaign is cost cap and one campaign is auto bid, lowest cost bidding, Facebook will spend the money on the lowest cost every penny before it goes to the cost cap, because it knows that it's trying to reach the same person with the same ad. Because remember, the learnings happen at the ad level. Those ads know that it's the same ad in two places. One, it can spend anything it wants. This one, it has to perform at a certain level. Facebook's going to spend whatever it wants because Facebook wants to spend money. And you've told it, I'm letting you do both. So one of the reasons that this isn't as much of a concern when you're doing creative testing is that hopefully that ad, because you're creative testing it, doesn't exist anywhere else. And hopefully inside of creative testing, you're targeting, and we'll get into some other stuff, but one of the things too that we want to do for creative testing is make sure that we're going against a broad audience or lookalike audiences. We want a similar testing audience for every ad set. And we want to kind of leave that to be just the audience that you're running testing on, or broad. Hi, Brock. Long time no see. Or using that campaign or using broad audience that's so big that it won't compete with something else. So with your cost cap, if you have the same ad and a cost cap and the lowest cost will always spend. Because we're doing this for creative testing and this ad only exists inside of this one ad set, inside of this one campaign, you shouldn't have delivery problems. If you do, we have those two hacks we talked about. One was raise the budget phenomenally and then set an automated rule that says once the campaign spends this much money, turn it off. Or two, raise your bid level so that Facebook can see that you're willing to spend more money. One thing that might happen is over time, if it doesn't see enough conversions at that bid level, it'll spend less and less each day. So that's something that very commonly happens. Also, what happens is over time, especially if you give it, multiple options, 5 or 8 ads, it'll try them all out. So what happens is you'll get a drop off initially, and then over time it'll find the right winners and it'll start to ramp back up again. Because it knows, okay, you're giving me 8 options, 3 of them are losers, 2 of them are okay, but here's like 3 that are kind of good. And the more I focus on these 3, the more I'm getting wins. So let me spend more and more there. And you'll see the spend kind of ramp up pretty aggressively. So there's a bit of a learning phase in the ad set. And once it gets through that learning phase, the manual bid will start to increase delivery. And so that's something that I see all the time. And that's how you kind of identify your winners. So the automated rules, the next piece. I would like to, generally I use 4 automated rules for creative concept testing inside of the CBO system, the cost cap campaign budget optimization system, which is now the follow-up to the bucket based. Rule number 1, if the total budget is less than 5 times your target CPA, set your rule to lifetime. Don't set it to day, set it to lifetime. So if your target cost is $30 and you only have $100 a day to spend, don't ask it to run these rules every day because you're never going to hit those rules of like 2x or 3x across a bunch of ads. So you set it to lifetime. So saying that over the course of 5 days or a week or 2 weeks, if this ad spends, whatever my rule is, and it doesn't hit my goal, turn it off. And what'll happen is, over time, Facebook will eventually turn off all the ads that don't work, and you'll only have ads left that have worked, or ads that Facebook has so low confidence in that it won't spend on. Either way, you either have winners or you have losers, and Facebook did all the work for you. Number two, if your total budget is 5 to 10 times your target CPA, set your rules to look to the last 3 days. I find that that's, it's rough, but 3 days is pretty good. So say your goal is $30 and you can spend $200 a day. Then make Facebook look back at the last 3 days when it's looking at your target cost rules and your turning ads on and off rules and your target CPAs, all the things we talked about earlier. So that it has a large enough data set, but it's also saying, okay, well, this ad, we turned it off, but over time that ad got better, so we're gonna let it come back on. Because remember, conversions don't necessarily happen right away. You might have shown me an ad on a Thursday night and then I convert Friday afternoon. If it's looking only inside the day, then Facebook doesn't see that as a win, but because you're letting it look back to 3 days, it's okay. But you also don't want to necessarily set that rule to lifetime because you're spending enough money that Facebook is trying to find all the wins that shutting something off because it lost in the first $100 might not be good for you, because if you'd spent $200 on it, you would have given that ad enough data to know who the winners are. And basically this is saying that if you have more budget, if you have more allowable risk, this is a way of adjusting your automated rules to do that thinking for you, knowing that I can spend more, I can risk a little bit more, I can invest a little bit more into research to find a winner. So I'm willing to lose a bit more so that I can get more winners faster. That's kind of what that rule says. The last piece is if your total budget is over 10x daily, total 10x daily, then set your rules every day. So say your target cost is $30 and you can spend $500 a day. Set your automated rules to daily. If it spends X amount today, cut it off. Restart it at midnight. So that way you can really understand, you're letting Facebook really make the determination of, running every day. And they should really train that ad set, because it's at a budget level that's almost like a scalable ad set, like a mature campaign, but you've got the allowable budget to really let it do some thinking. So maybe your cost of your item is $10 and you can spend $100 a day. If you've got 4 ads, if something spends like $30, $40 a day and it doesn't make a sale, turn it off, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to turn it back on tomorrow. But if it's $50 or $100 and you only have $100 to spend, you don't have the budget. You don't have the finances and the resources to really test your way through all of those mistakes. You need to kind of get lucky, which is okay. It just means you need to punch out more creative. And really what we find here is the more money that you have to test, the deeper you can test into each idea. It means you can spend more money and you need less creative. If you have a smaller budget, then you really need to rely on your creative resources. You need to be spending your money on getting more ads so that you can pull more lottery tickets and try to find more things that work. And that's just an allocation of your resources and your time and your business objective. If you can only spend a little amount of money, then you want to test every ad, and if it doesn't work right away, turn it off and try something else. And you're just constantly trying new things. If you've got a lot of money, then you're letting Facebook learn off the things that you have. Generally, businesses that have deeper pockets are better at making ads that convert. That's just a business thing that I've seen all the time. And it's just a fact of life. And businesses that have smaller resources tend to not have as good ads. So you need a bunch of ads until you find gold. And when you find gold, scale the fucking moon through it, and then you'll have enough money to test more ideas. You can always go back and test the losers again. It's a great way of finding stuff. It's fun of scaling your creative development is by going back and finding ads that kind of worked, but maybe didn't. They were right on the cusp, and lumping those together. And your creative concept is these were the close ones. These ones almost won, but I turned them off. Run those again. Especially if you have more money, then they're not starting from zero, and they might work, they might not, but it's a really easy way. You can go like once a month, go back and just find all of your losers and run them again. It's a second chance lottery, right? You're almost always going to find at least one other winner in there. Hi, Roji. So a little bit of advice there. Last piece here is you can create an additional automated rule that kills off any ad that spends 20 or 25 times your target CPA and delivers worse than 10% over your target CPA. So what we're saying here is, say your target CPA is $30 and you spend, what's that, would be $750, 25 times 30. So say your target cost is $30. If an ad spends $750 and it costs you more than $33, turn it off. And this is where we set and forget it, but we're not going to let it, knowing that these ads are getting turned off and turning back on, for us to know that we don't need to manage it every day is eventually, say you're spending $200 a day on creative testing or $100 a day. After a week or 2 weeks of you creative testing, if one ad just runs away with the spend and it spends like $800, but it doesn't give you good enough, it's been close but not quite, have Facebook kill it off. Because once you spend that much money, Facebook should understand who the target buyer is. And if you can't run that and it's not automatically starting to deliver at the cost that you want it to, then it's not good enough. I guarantee you, if you start running dozens of ads and you're doing this creative testing of 3 to 10 concepts and you're having a couple of them running every month, and you're starting to punch through all of these ads, you're gonna find winners. If you really try to leverage on things that are almost good enough, you're gonna lose. But this is where we go back and we try to find all those ones that were almost good enough and we give them a second run. So we don't need to turn them into winners just because they were close. We run all the ones that were kind of close against each other again. Especially if you're like, oh, I don't have enough money to make new ads, or I got a video shoot and I'm gonna get it back in 3 weeks, what am I gonna do? Find all the ones that were really close, run those again. Last thing, and we'll call the live after this unless there's any questions, is graduating creative to a scaling campaign. When you find winners, what do you do, right? A lot of reactions. Okay, so if any creative, when I say creative, I mean ad. If any ad has spent 20 times your target CPA, so if it's $30, it spent $600, and delivers consistent performance equal to or better than your goal CPA, that's how you know that it's a winner inside of the system. So if it spent $600 and basically every day, every couple of days you're doing, maybe some days you're getting 35, some days you're getting 25s, but more or less you're right around there every day, then that's a winner. If something gets like 10 sales on day like 8 and then none before or after, and it's really hard and Facebook's not really, like it got lucky and then it loses and then it gets lucky again, that's not a consistent winner. You want consistency. Consistency means that you have a stable account. If you have a stable account, then that means that you can project your results. If you can project your results, then that means you can scale your results and test against your projections, and that's how you grow your business, right? So if any creative has, I see your question, Austin, I'll get to you in a second. If any creative has spent 20 times your target CPA and delivers consistent results around your target CPA, then it's a winner. What do you do then? You copy that ad, you duplicate it to your scaling campaigns. So this is your creative testing model, and then you've got campaigns which you're just running all your money to. You take that one and you push it towards your one that you're spending all your money on. So maybe you're spending $1,000 a day, and you've got $200 a day on creative testing, and then like $700 a day on prospecting and $100 on retargeting. You would take this ad that is one, and you throw it into all of your ad sets for that offer that you're running all of your media to. It is now proven to be good enough to be a control offer. So what do you do after that? Because some of you are going to be smart and say, Well, if I move it off of now still my creative testing, it's going to still get a lot of creative testing spend. And you want to remove it from creative testing so the other ads inside of that ad set have a chance to spend money. Because maybe you'll have 2 or 3 winners, but one thing just wins, and for the first week, it just proves to be the winner. Doesn't mean the rest are losers. It means that just you had a rock star in the group, so you got to get rid of the rock star and give the other ones a chance. So what I do here, and there's several ways of doing it, but what's the simplest way is I change the name and I add the date. Basically, I say, okay, on September 21st, this ad was good enough, so I graduated it to scaling campaigns. Then you delete it from your testing ad set. You delete the ad. Now, this will bug a lot of people out. They're like, well, what are you deleting the ad? I'm deleting the data. I'm deleting all sorts of stuff. Deleting an ad doesn't actually remove the data or the learnings from an ad. All it does is that it means it's not going to be able to be triggered by the automation, and you're not going to be able to see it right away. But you can always see deleted ads and deleted ad sets and even deleted campaigns by when you click that little blue plus sign inside of your ads manager and you go campaign delivery or ad set delivery or ad delivery. It'll say active, inactive, complete, incomplete, draft. There's another option for deleted. And so you can always see the deleted stuff. One time I was running an ad account for CBS television, and I had this guy that made like a $50,000 mistake, and he deleted the campaign and thought he was good. And then he took a sick day for like a week and a half. And what he didn't know was that you could go in and find the deleted stuff. So I was able to see like where this extra $50,000 go. Oh, it was this guy. He fucked up, and I could find it and I could place it with him. So point is, when you delete something, it's still there. It just means that Facebook doesn't need to use that information. It's a weird thing. It's basically like archiving it. It's not really deleting it. So what happens when you delete it is when Facebook starts to turn those ads back on. Hi, Krish. When Facebook's turning those ads back on and all your automation is running, that ad that you graduated from testing to control is no longer being seen by the automation. So it's not going to be turned on randomly, and it's not going to absorb any of the spend anymore. Now, when you look at Facebook for when you have to pull reporting for spend and everything, the number will still be in there. Your spend number will still be shown, but when you're looking at all the ads, maybe you spend $1,000 and all your ads add up to 400, and you're like, well, where'd the other $600 go? You can sort them by show all the options, and that, oh, that deleted ad spent 600. It'll still show $1,000 spend, but it'll just hide it from you. It's archived. But the learnings are still there. And that ad is now graduated and moved on. So this is the cost cap, campaign budget optimization, creative testing strategy. This is how you do iterative creative testing and you scale results. You use automated rules to do all the hard work for you, and you use manual bidding models to control your cost, so that Facebook is optimizing towards a business objective, and you're using automation as guardrails so that it understands what you're training it on what it is that you want to see. I highly recommend doing this stuff. I've been testing this now for several months, and I'm really implementing it a lot now. And I'm not going to go into numbers because I never do that, but it's really fucking working. I found that even here, I can move ads from cost cap campaigns into lowest cost campaigns, to automated bid campaigns, to retargeting campaigns. A winning ad is a winner. So if you use this cost cap just for creative testing, it doesn't mean you have to recreate the rest of your ad account. Just use this for your creative testing. And the other beautiful thing is, if they're all bad ideas, if all the creatives suck, you can't spend money because the cost cap won't let you. It just says, hey, this is garbage. I'm not spending money on it. I can't do it. It won't win. And if Facebook tells you that, it's just going to help you. So this is a way of Facebook helping you protect your bottom line while testing your way into new concepts so that you can scale your business. Because remember what we talked about at the very beginning, the more ads you have inside of an ad set, the more sales pitches that ad set has to make a conversion. If you only have winning ads inside of your ad sets, that ad set and that campaign will perform better. If an ad made it through this testing process, through to your mature campaigns, and where you're spending the majority of your money, then you're only gonna have rockstar winning ads running there, which means your overall business is gonna do better. There you go. All right, I gotta break all this shit down because hopefully these descriptions are strong enough that people pay attention to minute 1 hour and 20 into something. Anyway, Austin, let me make sure that I get your question here, and then we'll end it on this. I love it, Austin. By the way, you're so involved in here, and I really dig it. I kind of wish you were in the Slack, man. You've got phenomenal questions, but we'll get to you one day. Austin says, how do you make sure those 25x CPA losers stay off permanently? Won't one of the other automated rules where it turns back on daily revive it even though we don't want it to come back on? Austin, great. So I kind of answered this before with the, you can take an ad and delete it. The other way of doing this is I create an automated rule called losers or rule exempt. And I apply that rule only to the ads that I no longer want to run. Also, because you have ads running all the time, because you have the automated rules running all the time, what I find is have your ads will turn on at midnight no matter what. And then your rules run all the time. So if you have an ad that gets turned on at midnight, and then the automated rule goes back to it and says, well, this thing's actually spent over 25x and the performance is poor, so turn it back off. That ad will get cycled on and off through the automated rules every day. So it's not really a concern. You might be spending a couple pennies every day on that ad between midnight and 12:05 or whenever the automated rule thing runs, maybe 12:30 at the absolute latest. But what will happen is because you're forcing spend to the other ads, it'll get less and less of the ad spend. And that's the beauty of these automated rule ecosystems, is that you've got redundancy. So yes, the ads will get turned on at midnight every night, but the rules will also turn off everything that violates the rules. So maybe every day it gets turned on and then immediately gets turned off again. So don't worry about it, I guess is what I'm saying. If you've made the choice that I want to remove this ad entirely from being eligible for any of the automation, that's where you delete it. And I go into the ad name and notate why you deleted it. So when you go back later and you have to explain or you have to understand why you made that decision, it's in the ad name. So you might even, the ad name might be a fucking paragraph that says, I turned this ad off because I ran it for a week and it really didn't do well. And I saw this stuff here, but I think that there are other things working. I tried to move it around. Whatever it is, make that ad name as long as fucking, so that when you go back to it, you understand why you deleted it, if you need to. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. There's a good chunk of you in here. Don't have anything else to say today, I'm sorry. So enjoy your Saturday, it's a weekend. Enjoy it. And I'll see you guys later, all right? I gotta go do some shit. See ya.